Welcome to Charcolite Gloss Toner for Blondes. This is a game changer, right? Charcolite Gloss Toner is made specifically for blondes. And so the meat of what I'm going to talk about is to talk about why specifically it's made for blondes, meaning bleached hair, right? Charcolite Gloss Toner is a zero-lift, cream-based toner designed for fragile and pre-lightened or bleached hair, right? It gives you flawless, true tone-on-tone results. And the best part is the developer is the lowest percentage developer in the category. Different parts of the world speak in different technologies when it comes to developer, right? Some people speak in volumes, 5 volume, 10 volume, 20 volume. Some people speak in percentages, 3%, 6%, 9%. So the activator in Charcolite is the lowest volume or percentage possible. It is equivalent to 2.5 volume, so a 2.5 volume, which means that it's less than 1%. That would translate in percentages to 0.75%. So it's less than 1% developer. Just enough oxygen activity to explode those molecules, but not enough to ruffle those already fragile and beaten up cuticles. We all know bleached hair has really open and dehydrated cuticles. So a higher percentage of developer doesn't really address that, right? So having a lower developer is really what makes this the least invasive oxidative toner possible. The challenge with some of traditional toners on the market, what we find is blondes often face uneven toning. It overtones on the more porous hair. Their hair is dry and damaged because we bleached it, right? So with traditional liquid toners, sometimes they can feel harsh. They leave the hair kind of crunchy. Also, sometimes the hair is more porous. And so, yes, it overtones and grabs, but it's also prone to fading really quickly. So a lot of times you'll tone the hair and then a week later, it's like, where's my toner? And then they usually come back in. So what we need and what our clients need is a gentle solution to those problems that provides a tone-on-tone result without compromising the hair integrity. Introducing the solution. Charcolite Gloss Toner is a zero-lift gloss that will preserve the hair integrity. And when I say zero lift, what I mean is it doesn't shift any of the virgin hair. So when you think about your glosses and your demis and your gels, they tone the bleached hair, but they do not affect any of the virgin hair. And that's what you're going to expect with the new Charcolite Gloss Toner for blondes. Zero lift on any of virgin hair present, and it's a gentle cream base. If you look at that video on the screen, it's a really thin cream. It almost has the consistency of like a high-end facial moisturizer or a thin light conditioner. So it makes applying really simple. So you don't have to like over mix it. It is pH balanced, which means that the product itself falls on the acidic side of the pH scale. So it's an acidic toner, and it has a Bondplex in it. The Bondplex is our vegan Bondplex that's in our Charcolite collection. So our shampoos, conditioners have a vegan bond builder in them. This toner also has it. So acidic, meaning pH balance, bond building, right? And then it has, as I said before, an ultra low developer. So below 1%. And what the benefit of that, as I said before, is that the cuticles are already fragile, dehydrated, and rough. So we don't want to exacerbate or aggravate them anymore. What we want is the cuticles already open. We want the color to just go in, explode those molecules so they can anchor, and then rinse it out. Our biggest point of difference from other toners is the hyaluronic acid infusion. So when we think about bleached hair is dry, it's dehydrated, the cuticles are rough, but the hair itself has lost integrity. And almost every toner on the market now has a bond builder in it. Bond builders are great because they put the hair back together, and they're great because they give the hair strength, resilience, and they are sort of an anti-breakage insurance policy, right? But none of the toners on the market address the lack of moisture and hydration. And so our biggest point of difference is, in addition to being acidic, bond-building complex, we also added hyaluronic acid. And if you know anything about skincare, hyaluronic acid has been proven to restore what's called the lipid profile, right? So this is going to help restore the moisture profile in your hair and help your hair retain that moisture. So you're getting the strengthening from the bond building, but you're also getting the replacement of the moisture and the hair's ability to hold on to that moisture with the hyaluronic acid. So when you see other toners that say, oh, plus bond builder, this is plus bond builder and hyaluronic acid. So it's kind of like a double whammy, right? Also, our cream comes in, as you see in the video, our cream comes in a tube. It's a 3-ounce tube with a 1 part cream to 2 parts developer mixing ratio. This is what helps that tube stretch a long way. So if you're using grams, 30 grams is 1 ounce. So essentially this tube is 90 grams, right? So 30 grams of color, 60 grams of developer gives you 90 of workable product. That's essentially 3 to 4 applications from that one tube. So your investment goes a long way there. This is the collection that we've recently launched. So the collection is sort of a blonde collection, right? And so if you look on your screen, you're going to notice there are 2 columns. There's a level 8 and a level 10. We feel that a lot of people love to customize their colors. So we made an 8 and a 10 so that you can create your own customized level 9. So what that means is, if you look at the color families, starting from the top, we have ash, which has sort of a bluish base. And then we have violet ash, which is a violet with a slight blue base. Then we have a gold violet. The gold violet is essentially like an iridescent beige tone. And it's actually the one I'm featuring on this call today. The 2 mannequins I'm showing you, I use the gold violet on them. And then we have a neutral. And the neutral is sort of a cold neutral, because when you're using neutrals, there's usually some yellow left in the hair and you just want to neutralize it. And so it's almost like a neutral with an extra shot of blue, similar to Difiaba color. Anybody here that uses Difiaba color will remember that our neutrals are natural cool. These are similar to that, but much more sheer, because it's a demi-permanent molecule, right? So it's a more translucent effect. So if you look at these color families, there's ash, violet ash, gold violet, natural, and then we have a clear. Up back on the top, a little over to the left, there's a swatch that says clear. The clear is strictly a standalone treatment, right? So it's bond building, hyaluronic acid, so strengthening and moisture. You can use it to dilute the intensity of any color. Let's just say the hair has been bleached out like this model on the screen, and you just want to do a subtle toning. You can add clear to any of these colors to create a more sheer version of the tonality, or you can use the clear as a standalone conditioning treatment. It'll be, it'll strengthen, it'll moisturize, but it'll give that client some healing and some shine. If you're happy with your tone and you don't want to tone the hair, you can just use the clear by itself. I'm a big fan of doing the clear with the level 10 on the end. So a lot of times I'll do like an 8 at the root, a 10 in the middle, and maybe a 10 in clear on the ends, just to prevent overtoning. But every client is different, right? So if you think of the rules of chemistry that apply to lifting and toning, all the rules of chemistry apply to every product. So when you're mixing, whatever you were using previously, you're going to formulate in a very similar way that you do with this product, right? Because it's essentially the same category of demi-permanent oxidative molecules. So that's the small collection that we launched. It's 8 tubes of color and then a clear. So 9 tubes total, right? This is our spring summer blonde collection. We are launching lower levels. So the neutrals are going to go all the way down to a 4 so that you can start using them for a root shadow. And we're going to launch other color families. So like a warm collection and maybe a beige collection and maybe a brown gold collection. So all of that's in the works. And so I'm really excited about that because now that I'm using these on a regular basis, I want a larger color palette and we will have that. In the meantime, I encourage you to really get to know these because they have really changed the way that I do blondes. And so I hope that it's going to be that for you as well. The product is vegan, cruelty-free, silicone-free, paraben-free, and PEG-free. It says PG-free here. Some countries say PG, but in America, we say PEG-free. PEG is a derivative of petroleum, so free of all the bad guys, right? So fun fact, silicones and parabens always build up on the hair. A lot of gel toners have silicones in them. And so a lot of times the silicone and the color molecule lives in the silicone base and it just anchors in between the cuticles, but it doesn't go inside. And that's why they fade really quickly. This is a deeper penetrating molecule because it's not living in a silicone base. So that's a fun fact. So free of all the bad guys, very friendly. The young lady you see on the screen is an example of a mannequin I'm going to show you today. Several examples of just that. You know, the trend, Charcolite is known for this platinum silvery blonde you see behind me, right? But we're transitioning into other color families. So the trend right now is this beautiful lived in sort of honey beige blonde and these rooted shadows. So this collection is going to transition from cool to warm, just like the trend. The mixing instructions. So if you look on the screen, you're going to see a video of it being mixed in a bowl, and then you can see how it pours right out of the bowl. It's a very thin cream. The mixing instructions are 1 to 2. And the reason why it's 1 to 2 is because in all color, your color is your alkalizing agent and your developer is acidic. So the more developer you add, the more you reduce the cream or the color, right? So in a 1 to 2 ratio, you're reducing the pH of this mixture down to the pH of virgin hair, right? So the tube itself is probably a 6, 7, but when you do 2 parts developer, the developer is a 3 to 4. 2 parts developer to 1 part color makes it down to around a 4-5, which is the same pH as virgin hair. This is what makes it acidic, is the 1 to 2 ratio. This is what also helps it be more gentle for that fragile hair. The more closer it is to virgin pH, the more it's going to restore the hair to its virgin pH color. So the 1 to 2 ratio is really, really important. Now, when we were researching and developing, I tried it in a 1 to 1 ratio. It over deposited a little bit more because it wasn't diluted down enough. So I would encourage you to follow the rules. But I know that there's someone on this call who's going to break them. Let me know how that works out for you. We've tried, tested, researched, and developed it to work in a 1 to 2 ratio. So that's what we're recommending. As you can see in the video, like I said before, the cream is, once you mix it, it becomes a very thin cream. If you notice how it's coming out of that bowl, it comes out of an applicator bottle the same exact way. So I like to put it on. I'll do my root tap with the bowl and a brush, and then I'll do my rest of my hair with an applicator bottle. You could just do the whole thing with an applicator bottle if you're doing one color. A lot of people like to do that right at the sink. You can see how it's going on freshly shampooed hair. So the hair should be freshly shampooed. Towel dry the ends so that there's no water in there to dilute it down. And then just put it right on at the sink like you do your gels. It's going to be just as quick and easy. However, when you rinse it, it's going to feel much more luxurious than a gel because of those hyaluronic acid makes the hair really, really soft. So you're going to apply at the sink, just like you do your other toners. Once applied, you can let it sit for 5 minutes for flash toning. And when I do flash toning, I usually don't mix it with clear. I just do the straight color, leave it on for 5 minutes, rinse it out. I'm a big fan of going a little longer than that. So I might put clear in my formula just so I can go a little longer, because I feel like the longer you leave it on, the more it's going to deposit and the more it's going to last. So I'm a 10 to 15 minute guy, right? So I might put it on the roots for 5 minutes and then put it on the rest of the hair after the 5 minutes where the hair's more porous, right? So again, use your professional discretion and follow the rules of bleach hair. It is not the kind of toner that drops right in and turns purple immediately, so it's a little less scary. It's way easier to see through than some of the gels. So timing is anywhere from 5 to 25 minutes. Rarely have I had to go 25. We say 25 minutes because after 25 minutes, the color has run its course and nothing else is going to happen. So there's no need to go that long. Most people are going to be ready around 10 to 15 minutes. I've had some people where there was a lot of yellow left in their hair, so I left it on a full 20 minutes and it was really beautiful. It neutralized it. In fact, one of these mannequins was left on 20 minutes. So we'll talk about that. After you're finished, you'll simply rinse the hair with lukewarm, not hot, but lukewarm water, and then follow with a color safe or color specific shampoo and conditioner, right? Now, if you know anything about the Charcolite collection, we have Charcolite shampoo and conditioner, which is a dark gray pigment. Because you're toning the hair, that might not be the best option, because once you achieve that beautiful tone, there's no need to use a toning shampoo and conditioner. So we have an alternative to that called Color Keep. Color Keep is our non-pigmented pH balancing shampoo conditioner. The shampoo has the pH of 5.5, which is the same as virgin hair. And the conditioner has a pH of 3.5, which is just lower than virgin hair. So after you finish, rinse it, do a quick flash shampoo. No need to stay in there with the shampoo, just a quick flash. And that's going to stop the oxidation, right? So a lot of people rinse and condition their toners, and that's great. I've done it both ways with this product, and it's great. But we feel like because it's an oxidative process, you have to stop it with a quick shampoo. So I just do a quick shampoo, rinse it out, and then condition it to seal it in. And here is some feedback about our new gloss toners. So people are just in love with them, right? So these are some of the comments we're getting on Instagram posts. People are obsessed with the new toners. You can see this video here is a great example from our Difiaba Director of Education in Costa Rica. So he's in Latin America. So his client had really dark hair. He did a beautiful teasy light. You can see how it goes right on. And then he rinses and shampoos and conditions, and he's got that beautiful silvery tonality. We did a class in Albany with another Difiaba educator. And so we did a highlight balayage on this mannequin, right? So she had like thick, big money pieces. This was done by a brand new Difiaba educator named Stacy. And so as you can see, big, thick money pieces, right? In the front. And then in the back, just a beautiful teasy light foliage. We toned this mannequin with 10 GV, which is the gold violet, right? So if you look at the gold violet, it's very similar to the model that was in the presentation, where it's just that beautiful balanced honey beige color, right? So the GVs are by far my favorite. That's why I'm featuring it today, because a lot of my clients are wanting these softer beige tones, right? So anybody who wants that lived-in look, because we did a teasy light, you can see she's just got a little bit of a root shadow, and then bam, you got all of that beautiful gold beige. So that's our mannequin from last week's class. Let me go to There's a Q and A in there. I
Yep.
used the 8.1 and the 8, and it was really gray around the face. Okay, so great question. So the 8 is a cold natural or a cool natural. And the 8.1 is almost a blue base, right? So I would have chosen either one of them and not both of them together. I'm a big fan of the 8N by itself, just the straight 8N, because it's already cool on its own, right? And then Jennifer, could you use Asian models for Charcolite toners? Yes, but you have to lift them to a level 9 or above, because these toners come in levels 8 and 10. So they only work on hair that's lifted up to an 8, 9, or 10, right? So, and above. So when you talk about Asian hair, so this is not Asian hair, but it's dark. I mean, this client was a level 4, right? Or darker. And so you can see, as long as you lift it beyond pale, years ago we would say, you have to lift the hair to the color of the inside of a banana in order for your toner to take. And that's true for this. You have to lift them to the palest yellow inside of a banana to get that silvery tone. So when you're doing it on Asian hair, the same rules apply no matter what type of hair it is. The darker levels dictate what you're going to get, like how light you're going to get it. So in that case, I would probably use Charcolite platinum powder for my highlight. But if I wanted these warmer gold violets, I'd probably use Deco Max or Deco Paste because they're non-pigmented. Until the darker colors come, how is the transition from a root smudge with the 3-2-1 to this color? Should you do it in separate steps? Yeah, so Alyssa, the answer to that is until the darker colors come out, you can root shadow with Difiaba color and the 5 volume, not the 3-2-1. The 3-2-1 has been discontinued. The 3-2-1 is actually a 7 vol. And we launched about 3 years ago. We discontinued 3-2-1, and now we're using 5 vol. So I would do a root shadow with Difiaba color, 1 part color to 3 parts 5 volume as your root shadow, and then melt the toner into it. Does that make sense? Oh, Alyssa, you said 3-2-1 because you're used to it, but you're using the 5. That's what I see in the comments. So yeah, that's the answer. Root shadow with Difiaba color, 1 part color, 3 parts 5 vol, and then you can melt this toner and smudge it right into that. So they work hand in hand. Just remember, the hair that you're putting it on has to be light enough to receive this toner. All right, let me show you mannequin number 2 because we're almost done. And this is the root shadow mannequin, right? So I just did this mannequin, and Michael will tell you because we met about an hour earlier. And this was a root smudge. And I had to do exactly what Alyssa was just talking about. So this mannequin used to look like this, right? I have 2 of them. So this mannequin, you can see she's completely empty and a little bit yellow. I had to root shadow her first and then use Difiaba color. So what did I do? I root shadowed her with Difiaba color, and I used a warmer color. So I used 7C, which is a warm velvety brown. And I went 10 minutes. I did 7C with 5 vol, 3 parts for 10 minutes, rinsed it out or washed it out. And then I put the 8N right over top of it. And if you look at the 8N, because the 7C filled that hollow area, the 8N cooled it off. Like you can see how that become a really balanced color. So I did 8N on the roots on this mannequin. And then I did the 10 GV, which, as I said before, is my favorite. Let me bring the light in a little better. Ta-da. And then I did the 10 GV. As I said before, the 10 GV is my favorite new best friend right now. So you can really see all that neutral and then the gold violet, right?
Yeah, that looks
So
great.
really balanced and beautiful. Because this mannequin was so empty and so hollow, like if you remember, this was her twin sister. there was no way for me to get that root shadow without filling it, because if I did the 8N by itself, it would have been too cold. So I had to first fill those roots with 7C. 7C on that color blonde comes out like a warm, light brown. But what I love, I wish you can see this a little better. In here, that's better lighting. Right about there. You can see how it neutralized that. So the 7C turned it sort of yellowy, and then this just smoked it out.
Frank, we have a question. Did you put this on wet or dry hair?
Always wet hair. So good question. The gloss is made to be applied to freshly shampooed, damp, or towel dried hair. If the hair's too wet, it's going to dilute the pigment. So I like to do a quick, my fresh shampoo immediately after bleaching, do a fresh shampoo, and then put on your toner right at the sink. On the mannequins, I just washed her first. This lighting is better. It's so funny. She looks better over here. See how she's near the daylight? She looks, you can see that better. TD asked, how long did you leave the 7C on for? I did 15 minutes. So I washed the mannequin. I put the 7C on, and I let it sit for 15 minutes just to fill the hair. And then I washed that out. And then the next question from Lori, so you used 8N toner on the roots? And the answer is yes, Lori. I filled the roots with 7C first because the mannequin was too hollow. And then I washed the 7C out, and it was kind of yellowy brown. And then I put the 8N over top of it to sort of fill it in and anchor it. Let me see if this light. But yeah, so because the reason why I filled her is because she looked like this first, right? If you put any kind of 8N on that, any 8N is going to be a little too ashy or murky. Because the hair's so empty. When we launch the golds and the gold browns, I won't have to use Difiaba color. I'll just use all the toners, right? But it's a great way to segue in. No matter what color brand you're using, you can tone, root shadow. When we launch the neutrals in the darker levels, they're going to have a little more balance in them, right? So they won't be, you'll be able to root shadow with them, and they won't be quite as ash as the ones that we have now. And that being said, it looks like everybody's questions have been answered. Michael, you're going to get to try the product this week.
Yes.
You'll have some expert feedback, and then
Yes.
be able to do this again soon when we launch the new colors. So
yeah, I'm excited. When I got it, I was like looking at my books, and of course, wanted to see like who my next client I could use it on. And unfortunately, I didn't. I had already gone through the cycle by the time I got it, so I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Frank, for everything.
thank
You did a great
everybody.
job.
Thank you for spending your Monday afternoon with me. Chat soon.